I'm gonna lead with peace today. Yeah, I'm gonna lead with peace today. I'm gonna lead with peace today and see it rise. I'm gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna lead with peace today. Sing it with me. I'm gonna lead with peace today. Yeah, I'm gonna lead with peace today. I'm gonna lead with peace today and see it rise. I'm gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna kick up the revival. I'm gonna lead with peace today. I'm gonna shine my light. I'm gonna shine my light today. Yeah, I'm gonna shine my light today. I'm gonna shine my light today and see it rise. I'm gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna shine my light today. Walk my blues away. I'm gonna walk my blues away. Yeah, I'm gonna walk my blues away. I'm gonna walk my blues away and see it rise. I'm gonna get down to the river. Gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna walk my blues away. Walk my blues away. I lead with peace. I'm gonna lead with peace today. Yeah, I'm gonna lead with peace today. I'm gonna lead with peace today and see it rise. I'm gonna get down to the river. I'm gonna take up the revival. I'm gonna lead with peace today. Lead with peace. I'm gonna lead with peace today. One more time. I'm gonna lead with peace today.
All right.
Sung by Lydia Violet Hartunen.
Thank you. Yes. Welcome to the Microcollege podcast. Today is a very special edition. One of the things that's been so fun about this podcast project is I get to talk in length and depth with some of my heroes. And today we're talking with Liz Rogg, who is way up there on the list of my heroes.
Back at you, Jacob Hunt.
Thank you so much. And also joining us is friend, neighbor, teacher, parent in our community here, local leader, Amy Arnold. Thank you for joining us too.
Yeah, thanks.
Also one of my heroes.
Wow.
Two very powerful women and inspiration to many, many people here. We're here today to talk about music and about singing and the powerful connection to music and community. Liz Rogg has been coming here probably longer than 10 years, but Liz Rogg came into my consciousness about 10 years ago. She came over from her home across the Mississippi River, our kind of sibling city in Iowa, Decorah, Iowa, who came in, and she came into a Day of the Dead festival at the Youth Initiative High School, where I was a teacher at the time, and started teaching these amazing songs, which have 10 years later have been building on each other. We've been teaching each other songs and spreading them around the world, and my hope is with this interview we'll spread them even farther around the world. So, Thank you. Lots of things to talk about here, but here on the podcast, we always start with people's biographies. So, Liz, I'm wondering if you can think way back to when you were 18, 19, 20 years old, and where were you, and what were the influences on your life, and how has that shaped where you've gone since?
Thanks, Jacob. Well, I'm 62 years old right now. So I was that age back in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. And I grew up in a community that still had a lot of the remnants of what feels like, a bit of a different era, insofar as there was lots of singing just naturally as part of life in suburban St. Paul, where I grew up. Between church and school and clubs, singing was just part of things. And I watched lots of musicals on the TV with my dad and mom, and really got the notion that once I got out in the real world beyond Roseville, that the singing was just going to bust open like it did on the musicals, whereas communities would just rise up in song instantaneously because they all knew the same song and it was appropriate for that moment, and the song was what was needed. And I got out of, when I left Roseville, Minnesota, when I was 18, and did some traveling first in Bolivia and other places where there was music on the streets and music embedded in these other cultures, and then came back and went to a college thinking that I would study music and expecting to find that world of music everywhere. I started getting connected with the world where music is only for certain people who have certain training and can sing it only at certain times when they've practiced it enough and gotten it perfect enough. And I didn't know what was going on, but I just knew that I needed to run away from that. I loved and still love going to concerts where people have done all that practicing and are presenting in a formal way. I respect and love and need access to that. But that wasn't what I was needing. And it actually took me a lot of years to find this world that we call community singing, which is a super broad, amorphous term, but that's almost a good thing, right? Because who gets to say what's community singing? It depends on who you are and where you are. But all voices welcomed, singing embedded in daily life. Songs that aren't about perfection, songs that aren't about performance, but rather about building community through shared voices. It was a number of years of me like getting out my guitar and some books and trying to trick people into coming to my house or whatever by saying we're going to eat, but then actually for singing. And then
bait and switch.
Yeah. And then like not really knowing how to make it happen for the people who didn't already know the songs, because I didn't feel like I should take up the time or something being a leader and saying here's how to sing the song. So it was just halting for me. And then at one point somebody showed up in my community who shared a song that she taught by oral tradition, just laid the parts out on the different people that were there. And I watched that and I felt the magic of that we weren't looking down at books. Nobody had to already have known the song. Mm-hmm. We were suddenly a beautiful group. I would say choir, but I think for a lot of people the word choir sounds formal and like it's what other people do and not us. But a holy choir that is accessible to all of us in this way. And I just went, that's it. And sought that and came upon this movement. I will say movement, and that is something that growing up in the 60s, I always wanted to be part of the movements that were going on out there in the wider world when I was a little girl. The peace movement, women's movement, civil rights movement, environmental movement. It's like, I'm going. And then by the time it got to the 80s, those things were quieted down. So I'm like, where is the feeling of something that's way bigger than me that I can be part of and contribute to, and I can feel it rolling on? And this community singing movement definitely feels like that. I've seen its growth in the last 10, 15 years that I've been part of it. And I'm seeing how the songs just compel us to sing them and pull us together and pull me from my home community where I stayed put for 30 some years to other places because I want to sing with people and people want the songs. And there's all this cross-pollination going on between communities through the lure of the songs. So that's that. About 18 to 22, if that's the time frame you're talking about, was like, where am I going? What am I doing? Where is the songs? How to do it? And taking all the paths that were sometimes dead ends and sometimes threads that I only later realized were important ones. But, you know, as with something that you care about deeply, you just have to keep going, even when there's a lot of falling down on the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the trajectory there of, seeking community around singing, seeking, places for authentic, interaction through music is something that it's a powerful thread in if you look at the history of our culture in the last, say, 100 and 120 years, right? There's a way that music, the arts, many things have been specialized, been made into the province of experts. And even in a small community, there's people who sing in the choir and people who don't, right? Yeah. And that's of course very odd. That's not the way that most cultures have been throughout history. Yeah. And maybe could you say just a bit more? I mean, this is this about like what does music specifically do in the building of community or building of a movement?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's scientific language that people are using now about like co-regulation and things like that.
Vibrating together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay for all that. A lot of people send me articles about all that, and I'm like, yeah.
I know that already.
I know.
We know that. But maybe the more poetic way that I like to think of it is that singing is the most ancient technology of belonging, and a way that we can practice community in just the way that we mean to, insofar as no one of us is the most important one, or the one that has all the answers, or all the words to the song, or all the nailing of tones, or anything. But collectively, we do have it, and only collectively. So no perfectionism of an individual is required. Yeah, and my understanding from reading history of this movement and of singing and community is that it wasn't until the last 50, 75 years that this shift happened, where singing became the province of certain people and not others, and had to do with some technologies of what you could do to put something on the radio and have it sound perfect and tweaked and all that. It also is because of the fact that singing is, as we say, voice is the muscle of the soul. Those are the words of Alfred Wolfson, a healer of voice that healed his own voice after being in the Second World War. Voice is the muscle of the soul, and it's very, very tender and precious to us, our voice and what it is, and as an expression of us. And so if I'm a guitar player and somebody tells me that I'm getting my fingering wrong or something, well, I can just work on it harder and become a better technician of that. But if somebody tells me that my voice sucks, or even looks at me askance when I'm singing next to them, like, are you kidding me? That sounded or my favorite uncle says, you should probably not sing right now, or my choir director asks me to lip sync, or all my friends get into the choir, but I don't. Like, the littlest seeming thing can actually cause a person to close up their voice, like, it's too risky. I have to hold it here. So, as we say, as my teacher Siobhan Robinson taught me a long time ago, as many childhood wounds might require years and years of therapy, but the singing wound can actually be healed by singing in a loving, compassionate space with other people that is not for sounding perfect, but is rather for building community. I've learned that there's actually some muscle in the ear that's connected with the vagus nerve that when we get that wounding, when we're told that we can't sing, that it shifts so that it's harder to hear tones and therefore harder to match tones, and therefore it's just a downward spiral. Wow. But when we are singing, the healing can come. It shifts back, and we're able to hear better and sing more along when we're in a safe community. So, wow, talk about a great tool for healing community and individuals.
Amazing. Amy,
Yes.
do you want to take us back? 18, 19, 20 years old?
Gosh. Yes. So when I was that young, I had just come out of, many years of church life and experience, and loved church so much, loved singing, loved being in that kind of community, but also had this kind of reckoning with myself of what I believed and what I didn't believe. And so, left that world and, did all the things. Well, went to college, went to another country and lived for a while, had some children, and, wanted that feeling that I had when I was in church, but how can you have those kinds of feelings of like connecting with a group and if you don't have that and that's not what you believe in. And when my kids were small, well, I should say, as far as like singing experiences go, I mean, I remember being a young girl and just being like walking on the beach and like singing my heart out to the moon, just like singing so loud. I think I was singing like "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina," and just like, communing with the nature and the beauty of it all, and just knowing like through my singing that I was going deeper into that experience, or, doing that in a church setting. I remember when I met Liz, just being, like just everything in my body being like, yes, 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 this is what I need, this is what I want. And I remember the feeling of being so uncomfortable in it all too. So I know I can really like have a lot of compassion for people who are uncomfortable when they first encounter it. But through the great opportunity I've had to sing with my family, I should say. To sing with my family is an incredible thing that I've had since my kids have been small. And wow, has that been amazing for us.
Yeah, that's powerful. I mean, I grew up in a household that did a lot of singing together, and we, some of those were church songs. We sang in the church choir and stuff like that. And those, but a lot of the people that we spent time with were not churchgoers or didn't have that set of songs, right? And so that was kind of a barrier to singing as a group. And then a lot, people know pop songs, but a lot of those don't transfer very well into like singing as a group.
Yeah.
So I think one of the remarkable things, important things about this community singing movement is these are, for the most part, new songs that are relatively short and teachable, but and also contain very powerful messages and images that are accessible to people of all kind of different persuasions and backgrounds.
Totally.
Yeah. There are old songs that mean a lot to people from older generations because, it's cozy feelings about singing them when they were young, like "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" or things like that. And all honor to those songs and their meaning. But in the community singing movement, we tend to more sing songs that have specific connection to our feelings and needs of now. And so they'll be songs of honoring of nature, songs of pleasure and joy and happiness, and songs of grief and care, songs of comfort and healing, songs for particular plants. I learned from somebody that in the rainforest, the plant healers there have a different song for each plant and each part of the plant and each part of the plant at each season for the remembering of the powers of that plant. And what I see coming right now is among all the different people who are writing songs, or sometimes people call it catching songs, whatever, finding songs that they write and sharing them with people. I see that we're populating our addressing our needs for connection to nature through being able to sing a song that honors a certain plant. And I mean, I don't know if it's in my lifetime, but I see it coming where there's just going to be songs for each part of the day, each season of the year. That's another realm, is songs for the different seasons, songs for the seasons of a life, for birth, death, songs for the seasons of a day, meals, nap time, going to sleep, lullabies, all those kinds of things. Yeah, just if you think of a whole day, I mean, this is totally geeky me, but if you think of a whole day with songs all the way through it, it is possible. And even if it's just in one's mind. I wanted to also say that, also songs for activism, for taking courage, coming together. So many movements of the past have had song as the engine that holds it all together. Civil rights movement, certainly we know from hearing Isay Barnwell and different people talk about that time, that it was the songs that enabled people to come together and find their courage to go out and do what they did. And as such, I would say that all of the community singing that we do is activism. It's activism. It's in the language of today. It's like joyful, courageous resistance against the, if you want to say, capitalist machine, like the forces that tell us that we're not enough,
that we're alone,
that we have to muscle through alone, that we'll never be enough, that we need to buy stuff or go somewhere else in order to find happiness and joy and connection. Yeah. Singing is just like, boom, no, we got this right here together.
Yeah. And I just to speak to that a little bit more, like the feeling of having a community of people that knows the same songs, that you can like get together and sort of like just process and feel the grief of the world, or just like the joy of just like being a human being and having people who you love around you. I mean, it's just like an incredible feeling, and to everybody know all the different parts of a different song, and just to be able to like sing your love to each other or your gratitude to each other, or
it's not trying to be a replacement for worship communities.
No,
but for those who are looking for something in addition to a worship community, or something that reminds them of one they used to be part of, it totally hits the nail on the head.
Yeah, that's an important dynamic that we've been exploring actually in the podcast in other ways, right? There's a way that that impulse towards, you could say, worship, or just a sense of the divine, right? The transcendent is in a way has been siloed. You know, even if you do have a religious practice, it only happens in 1 hour on a Sunday or something like that. Whereas I think my experience of the coming of the community singing movement here to Viroqua and to this community it's a great, opening up of all the things we didn't know that we were missing. Microcollege, we sing every day now, every morning. And there is, as you say, out of this new upwelling of song, there is the right song for every occasion, right? So we're speaking here today on November the 2nd, on All Souls Day. The excuse here for Liz to be in Viroqua is the high school's Day of the Dead, Ancestors Day celebration, honoring of those who have passed in the past year, and other people who from our ancestry. And there's such a rich kind of pool of songs connected with that coming out of this tradition. And I just sense like there are the songs for the right occasion. People are familiar with Christmas songs, with Happy Birthday, and that's about it, right? There's so much other richness to life that now this community has, and I think it's such an incredible gift, and it's enrichment to every moment.
Yeah.
Can we hear another one? Can we sing a song?
Yeah. How about this song that is part of a subsection of community singing, which is people who have a body of songs that they bring and sing to those in need of a song. Maybe because they just had surgery or are about to go on a big journey or about to put their horse down or just had a parent who died or are about to die themselves or just graduated from a program that they work, transition to things that, thresholds of life. And this is a song that we often sing for folks in that setting. And for me, is just a small group of people that goes, 4 to 6 people goes to a house or a hospital room or a park and offers I guess you'd call it a private concert of 20 minutes or so of singing right for the person. It's a beautiful reciprocal gift, a way to give something and receive the beauty of having given. And so this is a song by Barbara McAfee, and it's called I Wish That I Could Show You. It's from the words of the ancient poet Rumi. It goes like this, and I'm going to teach it to you in the way that we would in the community singing world. So if anybody's listening, they could sing along when these three join us. So, I wish that I could show you. I wish that I could show you. Try it. I wish that I could show you. I wish that I could show you. Whenever you are lonely or walking in the dark, whenever you are lonely or walking in the dark, I wish that I could show you. I wish that I could show you. I wish that I could show you. I wish that I could show you the astonishing light of your being. The astonishing light of your being. Let's just sing it all the way through. I wish that I could show you. I wish that I could show you. Whenever you're lonely. Whenever you are lonely or walking in the dark. I wish that I could show you. I wish that I could show you the astonishing light of your being. You guys keep it going. I wish that I could show you. I wish that I could show you. Whenever you are lonely or walking in the dark. I wish that I could show you. I wish that I could show you the astonishing light of your being. The astonishing light of your being.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So that's a great example. And we've used that song for people having a hard time.
Yeah. It's always true.
Right. It's always true. Yeah. Beautiful. So Liz, I wanted to step back a little bit to your biography and just to paint a picture of your community building in other regards. In your hometown there in Decorah, Iowa, which is a beautiful place, the beautiful driftless corner of Iowa, about on the other side of the Mississippi River from where we're speaking now. Manifested in several different ways over the past several decades, most recently as the Center for Belonging Folk School, and flowed into the broader global folk school movement. But can you talk a bit about the groups and your work there in your community and what are sort of things you've been up to there?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, a lifetime
Too broad,
of
maybe.
loving and caring and connecting people.
Well, I would like to give gratitude to my parents. who always said yes to my crazy ideas and never gave me the sense that my wish for how things could be was crazy. Yeah. And so it just came into my life there. I chose Decorah as a place to live when I was 19, attracted by the landscape and the life there. And chose that place and really, again, like I said with the singing, expected it to be out there in the world in the way that I imagined it. Like expected that to be in the place that I chose, and just kind of proceeded as though it were true. Like, of course we gather and are intergenerational and have our elders among us. And of course we love up the children and play with them. And of course we have ways of listening to spirit together. And of course we have intergenerational celebrations for all the seasons of the year, and we have singing at them
And learning and sharing. And
yes, and we can gather and talk about and create things that are important to us, even though we don't have degrees or certification or insurance or any of the things that the world seems to say, like you have to be like this. And so, we started a little group called Pleasant Valley. It was named that because somebody had donated a school, an old stone schoolhouse, to our little emerging group that was asking questions about, like, what is education, and is more than just for children. It's like for all of us, and how does that work, and asking big questions. And somebody donated the schoolhouse to us, and we were going to fix it up and have it as our community center, but we were busy raising kids and working jobs and all those things. So anyway, we continued to gather, and it's just been a winding road through the years of hosting these things we call lyceum, where a person who has an interest or a curiosity or perhaps a skill in something, maybe it's talking about death and dying and what that means in our society now. Maybe it's making kites like they used to with their grandpa. Maybe it's showing jump rope tricks. Maybe it's cracking black walnuts together. Maybe it's mending things together. Just the things that people do that you wouldn't know about necessarily, their interests, passions, or skills or backgrounds, unless you make a space for it and invite it in. There's just treasures in every community that are undiscovered. Mm-hmm. And so we made this vehicle for inviting in people's curiosities, where they can just like have a lyceum that is, say, invite people to your house or to a park for an hour or 2 hours or 4 times over the next week, whatever. Say how many people can come. Have it. It's over. It's done. And it's not done because those relationships have been built and it resounds in the community. It's all in person. So that has been going on for a long time, and there's sub things. There's a little Waldorf preschool that sprouted out of it, and many other things, because people have this way to gather. I love about it that when anybody wants to hold a lyceum, instead of going, okay, I think this person, and this person would be interested in it, which maybe they would or maybe they wouldn't, and maybe they wouldn't actually come, and maybe I'd be really disappointed because I thought they would want to. Instead, I put it out on, now in the modern time, we have a listserv. I put it out on the listserv, 120 or so households, and I'll be darned, the people come who are meant to come, and they come with enthusiasm, and I would have never thought to include this particular group. So, we have that Pleasant Valley, and then that, for me, has been the groundwork for the Center for Belonging Folk School, which we just started there where we live on our little piece of land in 2020, which is a gazebo in the woods. And I have always admired folk schools as a really important way for people to gather and make community and make change and be active on a local level. But I never dreamed that I could have a folk school because they always seemed to like more infrastructure and more staffing and more money than I really wanted to have to deal with myself. But I've learned through my engagement with the folk school movement in the last couple of years that a folk school can be anything, including your kitchen table. It's the form of inviting people together from the community to do what is important to them. And so through a bunch of magic connections that had to do with song and had to do with Mr. Jacob Hunt, who brought a song to the Folk School Alliance, where a woman named Dawn Murphy, who you've had on your podcast, heard the song and went, whoa, we need more songs like that in the North American folk school movement. Then she reached out to me. We had just built this gazebo. We were doing stuff like the Lyceum there. She said, we went, and I went, wait, folk school? I think I just started a folk school in the woods. And thus things have developed with so much gratitude to it all. Anyways, at that place, we do what in Pleasant Valley we call Lyceum. It's like, let's gather for this, for that. And then because it's at my place, it's like, and let's make sure there's some singing added. Yeah. And then just to say a little bit more about Dawn and the Folk School Alliance. Dawn is a person who was raised up in song embedded in culture as well. And what happened, I think, when she heard Jacob sing that song at the Folk School Alliance meeting was she went, that's something that's missing in the folk school movement, because she knows from all of her work with folk schools, also in Europe, that there in the place that is the birthplace of North American folk schools, or the lineage of them, that song and dance were embedded in the daily culture of the folk schools. And for whatever reasons that Dawn could go into, I'm sure it hasn't been happening in American folk schools. They just headed more specifically toward craft, which is awesome and is also part of the European folk schools. But the songs never, in most American folk schools, not all of them, but in the majority, song hasn't been part of it. And so she's going, whoa, it's time. There's a movement that would overlay the American folk schools very easily. And so let's get that going. So now she has figured out a way to have grants and such involved in helping people, and I get to be a big part of this, go to folk schools and teach song leading and bring songs, so that I am sure what's going to happen is that the people that are there during the singing times as participants, perhaps in basket making or whatever it might be, are going to hear the singing, are going to be part of the singing because it's going to be happening where they're, and they're going to be like, whoa, next phase folk school. And they're going to come back the next time expecting that. And it will happen because the songs are easy to learn and remember. Right. And there are song leaders springing up all over the continent.
Yeah. So if that sounds like something you want to get involved with, there is an opportunity right here coming up, several ways actually. But in January, Liz and Dawn Murphy actually will be coming back to Viroqua for a song leader training in late January. So be checking out the Driftless Folk School website for that. We can link to that as well. But that's
last weekend of January.
Last weekend, January 2024. And elsewhere around the country. Is that
a couple others coming up, but none others scheduled after January yet. Yep. They're a happening thing for sure, because that's, at this point in my life, I'm pretty sure that's one of the most important things that I can be doing to help the movement, is to be helping bring up more song leaders. And yeah, it's
Absolutely.
Pretty exciting work.
Yeah, I mean, singing clearly is an important part of this, the folk high school, the folk school movement, going back to its origins. Nikolai Frederick Severn Grundtvig, the kind of originator of this idea, was a writer of hymns. If you open a Danish hymnal, it's about half of the songs are written by Grundtvig, apparently. And to this day, I've had some interactions with Danish folk schools on Zoom. And if anyone has ever tried to sing over Zoom, right, it doesn't work very well. But the folk school folks in Denmark, it's so important that they will do it. They will sing over Zoom no matter how cacophonous it is. So that's commitment. And just, I guess one other thought that comes from that, and one of the other early kind of manifestations of the folk school idea in North America was the Highlander Folk School in Tennessee, which played this really pivotal role in the civil rights movement, including being the incubator and transmitter of some of these powerful songs, which articulated that movement. "We Shall Overcome" and other songs like that were kind of updated and really taught at those places by all kinds of singers, Pete Seeger, Martin Luther King, and everyone else involved, in those people.
Yes, Highlander is one of the folk schools that absolutely had singing embedded as an essential part of its work.
And how important it was and is to the movements, as you're saying, right? Having be able to communicate a big group of people singing together is so powerful.
Yep, I would just want to correct. I said Highlander still exists and still has singing.
Yeah. Yes, beautiful. So maybe you're not ready to be a song leader, you think, but maybe you just want to do some more singing. One of the other exciting ways that you could get involved with and have an experience like this here in Viroqua over the next coming months is what we're calling the Artist in Resonance series.
Yeah.
So, Amy, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. First, the name Artist in Residence. I was listening
Resonance.
to Resonance, that podcast, The Emerald. I can't remember even what episode it was, but it was about
resonance in the name.
It was about
right?
It's called On Resonance.
On Resonance.
Caves, hooves, hearts, harps, and the birth of culture.
Yes, that. And after I listened to it, I was like really excited. Yeah. So yeah, what was your question? What's going on?
Tell
with
us about this series.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess it definitely came from a conversation that I had. I stopped feeling like I wanted to push people to sing around me, quite a few years ago. Like, I'll just enjoy singing with the people who I know want to sing with me. And then I'm involved in the Youth Initiative High School here in Viroqua because my sons go there and I teach there some. And I've noticed that singing's hasn't been happening very much there and been just sort of resigned in some ways to it. And then recently some of the teachers last year they were saying, we really want music back. How do we do that?
Yeah, this is one of the impacts of COVID, right?
Yeah.
Some of those things fell off.
Totally. Or students, what we had built up in there, when it wasn't happening for a while and people forget we're singing people. So they were saying, we want this to happen. And I was like, well, I'm really in a unique position in that I do have this community that I sing with all the time. And I see these people many times a year. And why don't I just invite them?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. Sometimes some kind of organizing feels like a slog. And it does not feel like a slog at all. It just feels so like fun and exciting and joyful. And so we have 5, Liz being the first one. So we have 4 other folks coming as guests to our community who are going to sing in the school at Youth Initiative, and also with the Thoreau College young students. I just feel like singing with young people is so important.
And with the community at large, right?
And yes. But just wanted to say, I just feel like I feel a lot of like sadness for young people in the position that they're in and their isolation and just sort of all the things that they're struggling with, and to give them the tool of singing together and processing some of that as a group feels like really important.
Absolutely.
And also with the broader community, like for them to also feel, for young people also to be singing with the entire community also feels really important, because they are not alone, isolated. We put our teenagers in this like, you are teenagers and this is where you are. And so to have them be able to experience that feeling of singing with people of all ages in a wider, I want that. I know how I know how important it has been for my kids, and I just want that for everyone.
So we just had the first edition of this, so we're in the middle of it right now.
Yes, we're in the middle of it.
So yesterday we had, a couple of sessions, extended sessions, singing with Liz with the high school students and the Decorah College students.
Yes.
And then in the evening, there was another circle opened up to
The wider community.
And there are people who traveled across the state there. There are people who brought their toddlers, and it was really intergenerational and really regional kind of singing. And so that will happen again tonight, and then 4 other times throughout the school year.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you want to just mention some of the other singers you have coming in?
Yeah, Barbara McAfee, that was who we sang the Astonishing Light
The previous song
that we just sang. Lindsay Scott, who's from Rantoul, Illinois. She's coming. Serena Partridge, who is a songwriter, song leader, activist, awesome woman up in Minneapolis. And Annie Schlafer and Linnea, they're like a dynamic duo community
Lennon
building.
and McCartney, yeah.
Linnea Champ.
Linnea Champ. Who's Linnea? I don't know who Linnea
The Beatles, right? A songwriting duo.
Oh, yeah, Linnea Champ and Annie Schlafer. Anyway, they're awesome. Also, just such great folks to sing with.
And then Amy puts us up at her family home and feeds us and like sleepover time. It's really good. She invited her friends over to sing in Viroqua.
Yeah, so check that out. It's a super exciting new initiative here, connected with the Driftless Folk School and Decorah College and the Youth Initiative High School, and just
Totally.
a way to teach and share and sing a lot more of these songs.
Yeah.
And Liz, our listeners are all over the world, all over the country. Are there other places that people might connect with the community song movement outside of the Midwest, or or indeed in Decorah? I know you've run Village Fire there for a number of years, and are there other places where people can connect?
Yeah. There was a website that I'm not sure is active right now or not, was called Sing Worldwide. It was through Lisa Littlebird. So that was her attempt to make a resource like that.
I was just looking at her website just a few days ago, and she has an amazing archive of
songs. Oh my goodness. It's called The Bird Sings is her website. It is amazing, and you can learn songs off of it and everything. But in terms of gathering, one thing I want to say is I think that we are in the midst of a big growing of song camps. I think that's really an awareness that a lot of us are having, is that gathering more than just for an hour and a half or whatever, but gathering outside, intergenerational, over some period of days and nights. And there's like the tools for doing that together, and for bringing in other practices beyond just singing, but cultural practices that we can practice together is an ever emerging movement. But I feel it really growing right now. So, but how to find out about those? Well, I think it's as so many things, just finding one of the doorways in through a connection, through showing up at a thing, meeting people, finding more resources. That's probably the oldest way and still current way of finding one's way in, showing up. And one of those doorways that some people might want to know about is called Music That Makes Community, which is I think it started as specifically Christian, but I think now it's any religion practicing tools of community singing. They call it paperless singing, not trying to get rid of hymnals or written songs, but rather add in also the capacity to do the kind of singing that enables you to look up. So the kinds of songs that are easier to learn by ear. Music That Makes Community is one doorway in. Going to camps is another. The Ubuntu Choir Network, Ubuntu. Ubuntu being is it Swahili? Some South African word that means I am because we are. And Archbishop Desmond Tutu gave permission to the community singing this branch of the community singing movement to use that term for their umbrella name. Ubuntu Choir Network lists all of the people and groups that have formed through one of the branches, community choir leadership training. Those are a few things, places to look. And I think the word community singing is often enough used that if a person were going to use a computer to search, they might put in community singing in their area, find ideas.
Yeah.
Or just you can invite some of your friends over who like to sing.
Yeah.
And start singing.
Learn a couple of the songs that we've sung today or off of Lisa Littlebird's site.
Yeah, excellent. Beautiful. Yeah, I think, something that I'm really passionate about, I think it's part of what folk schools are about, microcolleges and the work that you're doing around singing is that, our cultural moment is one which we need to do whatever we do intentionally, right? We are no longer carried along by ancestral tradition in the same way that maybe people at other times and places have been, right? And but I think what you're doing and generally the growth of the folk school movements is just a sign that it's possible. You can do it, and there's a richness to doing things on purpose intentionally, and that also applies to food and to child rearing and to land stewardship, and we all of these things that are important of being a holistic kind of life of human beings on the land, on the earth, and with each other is we can do it, and the songs contain a lot of important lessons for how to do it, as well as the glue to hold a community together.
Two quotes that come to mind, one from Resba Menachem, which is change culture and you change the future. And the other is from Toni Cade Bambara. She said, back in the 80s, she said, the role of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible. And it does feel like the songs and the singing of them has that power to make the revolution, if you want to use that term, but the change, revolution being change.
Transformation.
Make it irresistible. Also, Issei Barnwell of the Sweet Honey in the Rock group that was singing a lot in the civil rights movement and beyond, she talks about the power of songs in movements. Many of the things, one of the aspects of the power is that if you imagine a rally, a march along the streets of people standing up for what they care about, and they're just walking without making sounds, or they're even chanting, in my book is a whole different thing from singing because it has just a drivingness to it. The people on the sidewalk going, what is this? What is this? Or just like, what is this? What is this? If the people are singing together, not only is the message projected, but also it is alluring. Like you might step off the sidewalk to be a part of a group that has that kind of beauty and connection and power. So so the songs are definitely pulling us together and propelling us forward in our imaginations into this mysterious what's next. Let's be it together.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is such important work, and thank you so much for your leadership in it, Liz and Amy. It is the work in many ways. So I want to thank you for coming on, and also would like to go out on a song, of course.
This is a song by Serena Partridge, who will be coming to Viroqua. Let your voice be heard. Let your voice be heard. Every sacred word. Every sacred word. Let your song be sung. Let your song be sung. Truth is on your tongue. Truth is on your tongue. Truth is on your tongue. Let your voice be heard. Let your voice be heard. Every sacred word. Every sacred word. Let your song be sung. Let your song be sung. Truth is on your tongue. Truth is on your tongue. Truth is on your tongue. Let's try it all together. Let your voice be heard. Every sacred word. Let your song be sung. Truth is on your tongue. Truth is on your tongue. Truth is on your tongue.